My name is Clelia Peña. I am a fourth grade bilingual teacher at Carolyn Bukhair Elementary in Richardson ISD. When my students come to my classroom, we start with like, what is the story of your name? And in general, I notice that students don't even know the story of their name. So I start with my own story of where my name came from. And from there on, I model how that looks like and how can they ask their family members, research, and it's so powerful because then we read a story, a fiction story about this girl who doesn't know where her name came from, and her dad tells her where her name came from, and at the end she says, my name is Alma Sofia Hernandez. She goes on and says like all her last names and said, and I have a story to tell. And so then my students write their own story and they finish with that. Like, I am Antonio and I have a story to tell. Or I am Jennifer and I have a story to tell. That's how I start my year, with my students telling their stories. And then we read about people that are inspiring, that have their own story in biographies. And so especially this month, although I do it throughout the school year, but we read biographies of famous Latinos and Latinas. And so like this week we read about Sonia Sotomayor and Roberto Clemente. And so my students and myself, we can see ourselves in their story. In Judge Sotomayor, we see that she had a dream to become a lawyer and then became a judge. And they see that she grew up in apartments, much like the apartments where they live, and that she grew up being bilingual with immigrant parents, and look where she's right now. And then with Roberto Clemente, a lot of my boys, and some girls too, just love the sports story, right? And how he started in his neighborhood, just practicing with his friends, and much like my students. And so then we went around the circle and we talked about, what is your dream? Like, where do you see yourself? And I had soccer players, I had lawyers, I had veterinarians, I had teachers. And as they start seeing themselves in that story, I think that their voice is amplified because they share who they are, who they were, and who they want to be.